a courtroom, sitting before a judge, and being handed a guilty verdict and a life sentence for a crime committed by a complete stranger thousands of years before you were even born. This is the reality the Apostle Paul describes in the book of Romans. He argues that through the action of one man, a fatal sentence, death, entered the world. To the modern ear, being held liable for an ancestor's mistake sounds like a failure of logic. We prioritize individual accountability, making the idea of inherited guilt feel like a glitch in justice. But this inheritance is not an arbitrary punishment. It is the result of the strict legal representation that governs humanity's baseline state. This is the concept of federal headship. In this theological framework, Adam was more than the first biological human. He was humanity's legally appointed ambassador. In international law, when a prime minister declares war, the citizenry is locked into the consequences. You are bound by your representative's signature. When Adam disobeyed, he signed a treaty of rebellion for the human network, triggering a systemic lockdown called spiritual death. This created a trap. From the first breath, every human is born into this bound, corrupted lineage. Escaping this sentence requires more than good behavior. It requires the intervention of a completely new, uncorrupted legal representative. Because every human is physically born into Adam's line, every human automatically inherits the legal debt. This means no ordinary person can step up to save the rest of us. They are already compromised by the debt they would be trying to pay off. The virgin birth functions as the theological and legal loophole required to solve the systemic impossibility. To act as a valid representative, the substitute had to be human. Born of a woman, Jesus meets that requirement. Conceived by the Holy Spirit, he circumnavigates Adam's debt, entering the system like a clean drive in a corrupted network, carrying no infected files. The virgin birth was the exact mechanism required to introduce a perfect representative into a flawed system without absorbing the system's virus. For this new representative to take authority, he had to pass the exact test the first representative failed. Consider Adam's trial. He was tested in paradise, with every need provided for. Yet even in abundance, he chose his own will over his instructions. Jesus was tested in a brutal wilderness. The confrontation happened at his weakest physical point after 40 days of starvation. Despite maximum disadvantage, Jesus perfectly obeyed where Adam had rebelled. This reversal is why Paul gives Jesus a specific title in his first letter to the Corinthians, the last Adam. By succeeding where the first representative failed, Jesus established a victory so absolute that humanity will never require another representative. He is the last, because the legal case is closed. The two representatives operate under a structural distinction. The first Adam was a living soul, a passive receiver who required the breath of God to exist. The last Adam is a life-giving spirit. He acts as an active source capable of generating brand new life for others. If Adam's curse automatically infected everyone, does the last Adam's salvation automatically apply to everyone? We enter Adam's family automatically through physical birth. However, we transfer into the last Adam's family through an active spiritual rebirth based on faith. While the last Adam built a flawless legal framework for humanity, transferring out of the doomed network requires a conscious, individual opt-in. This cosmic legal framework operates in the present tense, shaping the reality of your daily life. Even with a new network available, we often still mirror the first Adam, prioritizing our selfish desires over the design of our Creator. Examine your own lineage. Consider whether you have legally transferred your status, or if you are still carrying the debt of the old network. The last Adam executed the legal maneuver to reverse humanity's oldest failure. The final verdict of which legacy you inherit is in your hands.